What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening.
Sure.
Who's able to hear more than what's being said and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, Cousin Sal here, bringing you an exclusive FanDuel Sportsbook offer for the big game. All new users are getting an exclusive 55-1 odds boost on either team to win the big game. Max bet $5. That means you could turn a $5 bet into $275 if your pick wins. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/Sal.
21 plus and present in New Jersey. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. $10 first deposit required. Max bonus $275. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
The Jaguar I-Pace is setting the pace for electric vehicles. Winner of the 2019 World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year. To celebrate this treble win, we're offering €3,000 off all Jaguar models, plus a free 3-year service plan. Set the pace. Book your test drive today at Conlon's Jaguar Nace. Offer available until the 31st of August.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Regiment number 278. I'm Chris.
Aaron.
I'm Rich.
And I have seen Endgame, which we will talk about later in the podcast.
He knows how it ends, folks.
Yeah, and we're going to spoil the shit out of it, I think, right, Rich? Because you've seen it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to talk about it unless you spoil some of it. So, I mean, we might as well go full-on spoilers. So
the last, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get through. This is an intensive movie. But we'll announce, near the end, towards the end of the podcast, that if you haven't seen Endgame, that'll be the point to shut it off. And in the meantime, the president is living through what a lot of people would hope would be his Endgame right now. And he seems to be weathering it okay so far, huh?
Yeah. Still president.
He survived the Mueller snap.
Yeah.
Actually, everybody did, really. Well, I mean, not to say that, people weren't punished and went to jail over this. There were crimes that were found. But, none
were committed by DJT, or at least he wasn't indicted for anything.
He wasn't indicted, yes. But there's still talk about whether impeachment is something that should be considered.
Well, it's Mitch McConnell. That's Mr. Turtle.
Yeah.
Turtle Dove guy. Yeah. Turtle. Anyways, in 99, he made a comment about the whole Clinton situation fiasco that was going on. And he said he considers attempted obstruction and interfering with an investigation to be something that you could prosecute a president for, because it is considered high crimes and misdemeanors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lindsey Graham was saying something very similar at the time.
Excuse me, Lindsey Graham. Sorry,
was it Lindsey Graham?
It was Lindsey Graham. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so we saw the same thing.
Yeah, and I would really love to know what his opinion is now. Think it's a little different, guys? Just a little bit? Think maybe he has a different take on it?
Of course, because his side's in trouble now. You guys have a different take when it's your side in trouble.
Well, I mean, if I'm going just by what most of the right-wing leaning media and most of my leaning friends say that no one's in trouble. It's been a witch hunt. Absolutely nothing was found. Why are we still talking about this? Let's build the wall. Have you guys seen Avengers Endgame? Why are we talking about Trump?
Well, this is a really precarious issue for Democrats right now, isn't it? I think that because I personally think that even if we're looking at a situation where if impeachment goes through the House, it's going to be swatted down in the Senate anyway, that there's still possibly there's some more information that we could learn. We could have a more complete version of this story and what really happened. And again, the more that Democrats can just stymie this administration at this point, I'm all for it. So I'm not necessarily against impeachment proceedings going forward, even if it seems like a lost cause. That being said, we've seen the general public reaction to the Mueller report and the idea that this was a silver bullet, shall we say, for the president. This was going to be the thing that takes this man down, that, Teflon Don, that nothing seems to stick to. And now, if you actually start impeachment proceedings, you're kind of setting yourself up for the same situation, right? Only this time with almost guaranteed failure. So what's the win for Democrats in office?
Virtue signaling. It's
virtue. Yeah, I agree with that.
Looking like we did something.
Yes, I agree with that too. But I don't think those are necessarily negative. I understand that the way that you're presenting these are a definite negative connotation to you, but there's another side to that. I mean, maybe virtue signaling is part of that, but it goes hand in hand with just doing your job, which is oversight.
I guess to me,
regardless of whether you think that that you will be successful. Again, Avengers Endgame, man. They didn't think that they could be successful against Thanos. They just knew that they didn't have any other option other than to do their fucking jobs, which was to be heroes. And in this case, the job of the House, especially right now, their primary job is oversight.
I understand that, but to me, it would always seem ceremonial, and ceremonial is generally code word for waste of time.
Well, yeah, and that's the biggest threat in this issue. Like, if they do their jobs and fail, then they're going to just be looked at by the public as failures. And while impeachment proceedings could stymie the administration a bit, ultimately, when it fails, it will be another win for Trump. Then again, as much as some people might want to look at the release of the Mueller report as a win for Trump, it doesn't seem to be reflected in his poll numbers.
Well, I was going to say,
matter of fact, actually talking about it, and he's still talking about it. He's still going off on Twitter about it, even though people around him, I'm sure, like, shut the fuck up about it.
My one big takeaway from the Mueller report is it was nothing what either side wanted. That's really what I took away from it. It's not what the left wanted, and it's not what the right wanted. That's really what
it wasn't what anybody was expecting.
Yes.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have teeth. And, if hearing the story that's laid out in the Mueller report, like I was saying, if that actually convinced anyone, if there was somebody that was like, I'm a lifelong Republican, but this guy's kind of weird, I'm not sure if I'm with him, and then this quote unquote vindication of the report comes out and they go, well, that settles it for me, I'm now a Trump supporter. If those people are out there, they did not get polled because the poll numbers went down 2%. Yeah, and they haven't recovered since.
The converse is true too. It wasn't like anybody who was on, against Trump heard the report. What? You know what? You're right. I'm on his side now.
Exactly. No, absolutely. But what I'm trying to present is the idea that the Mueller report was effective in some way in harming Trump. I don't know how you claim complete vindication and still be obviously wounded. I mean, sure, he only dropped 2%, but when you're at 40 and you go to 38.
By the way, excuse me, I believe it was complete and total exoneration.
Yes.
Well, people here.
Well, I mean, I recently.
I'm not trying. Just real quick. I'm sorry, Rich, to step on you, but I just want to put kind of a cap on this. I'm not trying to disagree with you, Chris. I just think we're talking about two different things here. the response to the Mueller report versus the actual effects of it. What did it actually do? But I'm sorry, Rich, go ahead.
I recently, through pure fuckery, accidentally clicked on the wrong episode of Real Time and ended up watching Billy Bush's appearance, I believe, from 2017. And they were talking to him, you know, when he came on, he was the mid-panel guest, and they asked him about, you know,
was kind of he was on a little bit of a comeback tour.
Yeah, his you know,
which didn't seem to last, but he was hitting the press pretty hard around then, saying like, "Look, it's not me." And
you know, Maher hit him with the question. He said, you know, what was the situation with Trump? And he goes, I was the reporter assigned to NBC for, you know, my tabloid news show. I dealt with Trump constantly, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, 6 days a week.
The guy, Trump seemed to get along with him. They're like, yeah, that's great. You should do the interviews with Trump.
And he goes, you know, when you do that, he goes, right or wrong, you can't really, you know, piss off the guy that you have to have a working relationship with, especially a guy like Trump. And he's like, so, yeah. He goes, do I regret not saying anything? I don't know, but I don't know if I'd have had a job. I don't know if my superiors would have abided me basically attacking the talent. And then he further went to say, he goes, you know, and the thing that describes Trump the most to him, the one thing that stood out was he was interviewing him and Trump was like, well, you know, we're number one with The Apprentice across the board, all, you know, and he's like, actually you're number 30th.
Right.
And he goes, well, no, in the last 15 minutes of the show, between the 18 and 49-year-old female demographic, we were number one. And he's like, okay, I work in the industry. I've never heard him break it down like that before. But
yeah.
Okay, Donald.
That's a whole lot of caveats to put on something.
Yeah, and when they cut to commercial, he leans over to me and he goes, Billy, just tell them. They'll believe you. You don't need to back it up. Just tell them. They'll believe you. Mm-hmm. Just how do you think I got where I got? And and I'm just like that. I don't know how I missed that the first time around, unless I just missed that episode of Bill Maher. But I'm like, that is Trump right fucking there.
Yeah.
Just no. Literally, just tell them the truth that you want them to believe, and there's a certain amount of people that will believe it. And I know it seems like I'm heading off from the subject of the investigation, but it kind of leads me to this because I have, I guess, a rather unique take because I haven't heard a lot of people echo the same take I have for the declared candidates for the Democrats and this investigation topic. Treat it like a fucking honeypot in Vietnam. AKA political third rail, don't fucking touch it. The ones who've declared, who were vocal about it, there's not much you can do for them. They have to live or die on their own. If you haven't thrown your weight behind this, stay the fuck out of it. There are bigger fish to fucking fry. This is nothing but a great big trap because no one can definitively claim victory, but Trump will run around doing victory laps. And all it's going to do is solidify his base because, once again, Trump's not backing down from these, you know, fake news liberals and all this shit. And that's the last thing you want. I mean, there's a lot of people that have voted for Trump that are highly unsatisfied with his performance, highly unsatisfied with the promises he made that he's delivered nothing on. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking working class people who would be likely to vote for a Democrat, people who work in industries that have strong unions. Okay, he played those people like a fucking fiddle, all right, during 2016. And believe it or not, a lot more people than some people would think are like, yeah, I'm not happy I got played. Fuck him. But you got to give me something real, and I don't want to get caught up in a bunch of political bullshit, political theater. We have real issues. Even if you impeach Trump, or if you start impeachment procedures against Trump, most likely it can be drug out. So what are you going to do in 2020? So I just say, if you're, you know, have you declared, just, you know, look, the report is what the report is. Everybody can read it. I'm not here to talk about the report. I'm here to talk about other issues. Because there's going to be, because to me it's just, if the Republicans are dangling in front of the Democrats, there's a reason for that. If they keep hammering away and like trying to antagonize the Democrats with it, there's a reason for that because they feel awfully comfortable that they can at least convince a decent amount of people that, I need no charges, no harm, no foul type shit.
Well, I mean, certainly everybody was out in full force, that last weekend, right hot on the tails of the report being released, or the redacted report. But since then, it's really only been Trump, and if anybody in his cabinet or any of his supporters on TV are echoing it, it's only because Trump's talking about it.
And see, I guess that's where I do have a major blind spot, dead zone, whatever you want to call it, in my media intake, because I don't watch television news. I don't watch clips of Fox, CNBC, or MSNBC, CNN. I just don't.
I don't either, but that's why I follow conservatives on Twitter.
Yeah, so see, I have
stuff.
I have enough friends and family who give me the temperature of what his base is thinking, because they are strongly in his base, and it's you're right.
You've got a tap that's much purer than mine.
Yeah, and it just pure shit pours out of it 99% of the time. Yeah,
we're just getting that pure uncut conservatism.
Yeah, it makes Flint water look drinkable. Okay, I mean it's fucking horrible. But no, and that's the people that do his dirty work. I mean, it's like the whole thing with Russia meddling in the election. It's not that, and I've said this before, and we've talked about it before. It's not the fact that Russia wanted one candidate over the other. It's the fact that they did. And so many people just go, oh, well, what do you expect? It's okay, well, why are you like that? Are you like that because it's just that's the way politics is played on a national, I mean, not on a national, on an international level, on a world level? Or are you just, because there's no way you can declare your side the winner? One is being a realist. The other is just going, I don't really want to talk about that because there's nothing I can gain from it. So I'm just going to sweep it under the rug. And that tells you all you need to know about these type of people. But I mean, they're essentially doing the same thing these Russian fucking agitators were doing with their misspelled memes and everything else. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're stirring the pot, and
they're still doing. I mean, the Russians are.
I have to give credit, at least to a lot of my friends and family who are politically on opposite poles of the planet. At least yet, I'm sure as 2020 approaches, as November, starts coming around in 2020, it's going to be a completely different story. But not a lot of people are rising to the bait. Not a lot of people are getting into the bullshit, heated arguments. People just, maybe it's a glimmer of hope, a little sliver of hope that I'm thinking that these people are like, you know what? This is just thinly veiled bullshit. Why even respond to it? Look at the source of what they're posting. It looks like something that someone did in fucking, middle school on their IBM computer,
Right. May I actually ask you to clarify that a little bit? Is it the Trump bullshit that they're seeing through? Is that what you're saying? Or is it the bullshit of this, everything's a black and white argument and everybody's lined up on sides, which is not, that just represents the media and wackos on social media, right? The actual, what America looks like is there's everything in between. Is that the bullshit that you're talking about, or is it just Trump's bullshit?
It's both, but it's mostly seems to be, and I can't say I know this, whatever, it's going to make me sound whatever. Now I'm a dirty, filthy, bleeding heart cuck or something, but it does tend to be my more progressive, liberal, however you want to put it, minded friends that have gone, wait a minute, let me check this source. Okay, this is a completely bullshit source. This is a completely bullshit story. No credible news agency is running with this story. But,
life.com isn't credible.
Life for all fetuses number 4, Jesus.ti says, blah, blah. It's so yeah, I guess they're getting more savvy to it. And it gives me a little bit of hope, because somebody's got to fucking smarten up a little bit through this shit. You can't just have two groups of people just de-evolving into the most base instinct going at each other.
Why did it take 2 years for us to this was like a class in high school English about referencing. Why is it taking like 3 years for people to figure this shit out? Referencing and citing your source. It's like 9th grade English, maybe 8th grade, depending on your school.
I think trust. People are a lot more trusting of the media. People are, oh, this person's in a position to where they're on the radio, they're on television, or they, are an editor who writes for this website, so they must know what they're talking about. And I think Trump did a really good job at eroding a lot of that trust. And I think some of the blowback against him is now people who didn't buy into the fake news shit are now spouting fake news when they see it themselves, because they're going, okay, well, if he's saying the news is fake, maybe I should check all these people's sources that are supporting him. And when they do, they find out they're bullshit. They're horse shit. Difference is Trump goes after CNN and, MSNBC and, or whoever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? The heavy hitters. Usually these right-wing sources that are, sites that I find my friends and family quoting as valid sources are just like literally, you can't find anything about them online. It's just like someone just put it up and just started posting the most inflammatory stories to piss people off they could. It's not valid. It's a bullshit story. Don't waste your time arguing with it. It's a trap. So I hate to get all
thanks, Admiral
Akbar, but it's the truth. It's just a trap.
Now if we can only get people to stop taking opinion pieces as facts.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Hey, everyone! Vinny the Frog here down at Aquazone in the Sport Armband campus in Blanchardstown. Come and enjoy tropical wild water fun. Aquazone is open daily this summer, just minutes from Junction 6 on the M50. Book now at aquazone.ie.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
All right. So speaking of the Mueller report, though, there was more news. I think this just came out today about Tom Arnold. And I don't know if you guys remember him talking about him buddying up with Michael Cohen.
And him coming on Adam Carolla's podcast sounded like he just did a whole bunch of coke.
Yeah, but he always does, right?
I remember texting you like, dude, he's on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like last time I heard him, he sounded manic, and he was just like, "Whoa, Tom, don't do the 8-ball in the parking lot. Maybe before you leave the hotel."
Well, I gotta agree with Aaron. Like, I remember him when he was on the Best Damn Sports Show. Period. He always came off like he was coked out of his mind. Like I think that's part of his shtick, honestly.
Yeah, it's really hard to judge. I mean, we know that he's admitted to having problems with drugs in the past.
All over so far that Adam was just laughing at him. Like they'd bring up something and he would just. I remember the conversation would be going one way and he would just take a left fucking turn because it's Tom Arnold.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Tom Arnold's brain just has like one track, and it's his own track. He's not following anyone else's conversation. He's talking about whatever he wants to talk about.
Runaway train.
Yeah, but it turns out that he wasn't completely full of shit because he recorded a conversation that he had with Michael Cohen. I guess not leaked this, or somebody leaked it. I'm not sure how the Wall Street Journal got a hold of it, but they published it, and it has Michael Cohen on tape talking about all of the things that he admitted to during the investigation, and saying that that a lot of what he admitted to, he didn't actually do. That he was, it says in the story, innocent of several of the crimes he's admitting to, calling the 3-year sentence he was given a surprise.
You know what that means? Wall Street Journal, you're fake news.
Fake news, WSJ.
Yeah. Immediately. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, so...
Adobe Celiflare?
Someone changed it. Bitch set me up. But, so yeah, he's basically claiming, like, I was just taking the fall, and I thought I was going to be protected, and then the guy got 3 years. That's essentially what he's saying?
Well, I think that's part of what he's saying, but the more important thing is not how he reacted to his sentence. It's that he admitted to things that he didn't actually do, if what is on this tape is correct. The crimes that he confessed to.
Trump needed a patsy, and he's saying he was the patsy.
No, I understand that. What I'm getting at is he wasn't under oath when he was talking with whoever was recording him during that conversation. You can lie your ass off as long as you're not under oath. And if he changes his story when he was sworn under oath and he gets back under oath and changes it again, then yeah, that's perjury. But you can lie to anybody.
No, absolutely. This is not a crime, what's on this tape. And it could be that he was saying one thing to Tom Arnold and testified to another.
God, it is so surreal that Tom Arnold is an investigative journalist.
We're sitting here.
Wow.
I don't think recording one conversation makes you an investigative journalist.
It's better journalism than a lot of people who call themselves and get paid as journalists these days.
I'm just reminded of that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. He's like, "You're not a magician. You know one magic trick." Just a tape recorder, Tom, doesn't make you an investigative journalist.
Why release this, though? What does Tom Arnold think is the positive benefit in his mind of releasing this?
Talk about him.
Talk about who?
Tom Arnold.
Oh, so we'll talk about Tom Arnold? That's why he put it out there?
Well, he asked for what could be positives. What could be the positives? Like that's
why now?
News cycle. It's 24 hours.
Okay, but Tom Arnold wants he hates the president. He wants him out of office, right?
Yes.
How does this benefit that cause? Because if it didn't benefit that cause, he wouldn't have done it, unless he's just actually crazy.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't help him out, it's. Yeah, I'm spitballing here. You asked me for positive things, and I'm throwing them out there.
Yeah, I feel like Aaron. I feel like you have a pretty solid idea in your head of why he did it. So, why do you think he did it? Or is it multiple reasons?
I don't really have a solid idea. I only have one thing that makes sense.
Okay.
And that's literally that Tom Arnold believes that Michael Cohen was a patsy for Trump. That, because part of Michael Cohen's testimony, he would talk about the conversations that he would have with Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember those, he would always say, nothing was direct. He would always talk about, in my presence, about things that he wished would happen. And I would take that as directive. That's giving cover to the president, because then even if you got the president to testify under oath, he would just say, it's not my fault how Michael Cohen interprets me wishing things. I wish a lot of things, I wish I had a sandwich right now. He didn't bring me a fucking sandwich, so he must not be that intuitive.
No, I got you.
So that's giving cover to him. And that, it seems to make sense with this story. He's taking blame for things he didn't do and giving direct cover to the president, all while, rubbing his hands together in front of the American people and giving them his big puppy dog eyes and saying, gosh, I just, I got in over my head. I succumbed to the power of Trump. He's so enigmatic. He just hypnotized me. And before I knew it, I'm making deals with the Russians.
See, that though, I'd call bullshit on that because you're a lawyer, buddy. Don't give us the, oh, shucks, I didn't know what I was getting into. You're a lawyer.
That was part of his story, I'm exaggerating it some, but that's how he presented it, is they got in over his head. Michael Cohen didn't have any malicious intention to commit crime. He was doing it all in the name of somebody that he got wrapped up in.
He sounds like
the guy's a sleazeball, and he's only, as far as a lawyer, he's only had the one client for decades. So,
like he's Red Butler, and Michael Cohen got the vapors when he walked in the room. Oh, overcome.
No, okay. What you're describing.
Wait. What I'm describing is just what happened. Okay, I don't want to get off track here because my theory was this is it, right? So this is the story that Michael Cohen is presenting. I'm not arguing over whether what he's saying is true or not, or whether he has an accurate representation of himself. I'm saying that given the story that Michael Cohen presented, given the story that he told Tom Arnold, it seems surely that he was a patsy. He was meant to take the fall for all of this. And Tom Arnold wants to uncover that, maybe a new investigation opens up so that we can actually find out the truth. I don't know. But that's otherwise, because the negatives of this, the negative thing of releasing this tape is the fact that it's just going to obfuscate more things, right? Now, not only is the Mueller report kind of nebulous and means what you want it to mean, but you can now discredit any part of it.
It's putting more mud in the water.
Because Michael Cohen's testimony was, well, we don't even know. We don't know if what he said on the tape is true or what he said in his testimony is true. A straight answer out of Michael Cohen, highly expected to get one out of Manafort or anybody else involved.
Oh, we're going to be talking about this till the end of time, aren't we? 3 presidents from now, we're still going to be talking about this shit.
Well, I mean, look, you went hard in the paint, but I mean, I was just going to say what you're saying about Cohen. He sounds like every Bonnie in a Bonnie and Clyde situation who gets caught and goes, I had no idea that we were on a killing spree. I fell in love, and it's crazy. That's what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. It's like he's trying to paint himself as this like innocent who got caught up in all this, and he was like, I had no idea what was going on. And
your lawyer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he might not be a Rhodes Scholar, but you got to have at least a couple brain cells to rub together to pass the bar. I'd hope, but I guess it's pass the bar.
Your lawyer, and let's be honest, for a while you were Donald Trump's lawyer. All right, his quote unquote fixer. So don't give us this whole line. It's crazy. Like you got pulled into his orbit of charisma.
Yeah, it seriously. When you were talking initially about how he seems to be appears to be coming off, I thought literally of the scene in Goodfellas where the FBI agent is talking to Henry Hill and his wife, and she's like, I don't know anything. And he's like, don't give me the Babe in the Routine Woods, Karen. I got you on tape talking about cocaine deals.
Babe in the I'm sorry, you spoonerized that. The Babe in the Woods routine. Not the Babe in the Routine Woods.
Oh, well, did I? My dyslexia kicked in. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, it's just, but here's it. I mean, let's be honest, guys. I could see Trump going to him and just being like, "Look, man, just fucking take the hit. I'll get you out. You're not going to do fucking hard time. You're not going to do, fuck you in the ass federal prison time. You're gonna be all right. I'll pardon you on the way out. Whatever. Blah blah blah." I don't understand why.
Also, you're not getting out of this scot free anyway. Like, right?
Well, yeah. You're
already dirty. You might as well take one for the team.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like I don't understand why. Not necessarily you guys, but so many people seem to think that that's something that's far fetched. Really? That happens all the times with criminal cartels. All the time.
I'm doing my best to not do my best Iceman impersonation, but I've sat here before and brought that up. Like, I'm sure he is smart enough to find one guy to put all the dirt on. Like, I did some shit. You got to take the fall. I'll take care of you. Like, he's been in big business for like 4 decades. That's that kind of mentality you got to have. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, there's been plenty of dirt he's done, and he's made someone else take the fall for. And this is just another business dealing. Just now we know about it because it involves the federal government.
Right. And we also know that, I mean, if the reports of Trump's behavior that's dictated in the Mueller report are accurate, he's not this cool cucumber. It's like, oh, it'd be a shame if something happened to that broad, that porn star. You know, he's, oh, fuck, my presidency is over. Oh, no, what am I going to do?
Yeah, what was the line? John Oliver trotted out the, I'm fucked.
Yeah, well, everybody.
Mueller was in charge.
Yeah. So while Cohen's story about the payoff to Stormy Daniels was he was really upset over this, and this was a situation that he, expressed interest in wanting to go away, and so then I took the initiative and transferred some money into her account to make this go away for the president. And I personally, who's to know? No one's to know really, except for the president and Michael Cohen. But I'm betting it's more of like he grabbed Michael Cohen by the shirt and was like, "You got to pay this bitch off. She's gonna ruin my presidency.
You got to make it go away, Mikey." Yeah. So I get what you're saying about this. This may not.
And that's the. What else? What other reason would Tom Arnold have for putting this out there
besides just pure narcissistic, hey, give me some attention?
Yeah.
But I don't think that is let's be honest, if he wants attention, he can go on to any fucking podcast and say some outlandish shit in 5 minutes and get as much attention as he wants. Right. So if it was simply hey, pay attention to me, Tom Arnold has made a career out of bullshit nonsense, pay attention to me moments.
Well, yeah, also I think we would have video footage of him all over the news talking about this instead of it being leaked to the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah,
if he was just in it for his own publicity. I'm not saying that he has, that he's altruistic. I think man's kind of nutty. But, who knows? Maybe he thinks he's going to be the next Julian Assange, right?
Well, maybe he thinks he's
like, I'm going to get it all out there. You want to see crazy? Fuck wiping your shit on the walls and skateboarding indoors. I'll show you fucking crazy.
Okay. All right. I'll bring up this angle because why not? What if this is the media grasping at straws because the Mueller report didn't bear the fruit it was hoping it would? Because think about it.
What if it was?
This story with Tom Arnold. What if this is we got some taste with Tom Arnold? Let's try this.
Then they're the dumbest fucking people on the face of the planet, the Wall Street Journal is, because if that's the case, you are setting yourself up to be the fall guy, to be the pinnacle of fake news for Trump to hold up for this next election. If you're that obsessed with taking a man down to where you're going to shit all over your integrity that your fucking paper has built, then you deserve kind of what you get.
Right. Well, look, it's not that Tom Arnold reported for the Wall Street Journal, right? Tapes were given to Wall Street Journal. They were played for Michael Cohen's attorney, who confirmed that is indeed Michael Cohen on the tape. And then they reported on the information as to what nothing in here is about what Tom Arnold has to say about it. He just happened to be the man that recorded the conversation. All the important shit is being said by Michael Cohen, and that's what they're reporting on.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's more likely what's going on with Tom Arnold is simply he thinks he's doing something good, and if he gets attention for it, that's just an ancillary benefit. It's like, yeah, okay, well, pay attention to me a little bit, that's fine, but, because I remember it wasn't his thing that he's like, look, I've worked with Donald Trump before. I considered Donald Trump a friend. But I have lots of friends that shouldn't be president. He's one of them. You know, like it didn't seem like there was a lot of animosity. Like, I hate this cocksucking motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't seem like that. It just seemed like, look, he's.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I kind of set it up as he hates him, but he doesn't hate him. He hates the idea that he's president.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, I understand that. I have friends that I love dearly. I'll try to help as much as I can. I'll give them the shirt off my back, but they're going to have to find 3 other people to get in it to fit it right. But I mean, I'll do what I can, but I don't want to see him fucking governor, mayor, president of anything. You know, I want to see if they can keep a house plant alive for a year before they even get a dog.
I don't even be a cop.
No, I don't. I definitely don't want some of my friends to be cops. I don't want that. Any job that would require me to have to testify on your behalf, I don't want you to have. Okay, that's the line of demarcation right there. But no, I totally get it. I mean, I don't know, man, and it's Trump has left a fucking whole just lot of damage in his wake on his way to the presidency. I mean, he burned a lot of bridges. I mean, you know, the Republicans can act like he's always been one of theirs and all that, but he was just as much of a star fucker as any businessman who was trying to become a star himself. I mean, you know, he was at, you know, functions with the Clintons, taking pictures with them, taking pictures with Oprah, all these people who are supposedly now his, you know, that he hates. And it's just like,
when he was talking about running in 2000, it was as a Democrat.
Yeah, wasn't that on Howard Stern? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Howard Stern asked him about it. I remember that. So, I mean, it's like, it's not to discount anything the man's done or said, because, I mean, obviously, actions speak louder than words. I think that his presidency has shown us his true colors, because he is incapable of tap dancing and putting on a plastic smile and playing the game. I mean, you can tell any speech where he's reading off the teleprompter when he's reading off the teleprompter, but he really gets fired up when he goes off script. That's when the true Trump comes out, and that's when he's like, you know,
it does crowd work.
Yeah, literally, yeah. He's like a fucking comedian up there. I mean, he's not funny, but he's like a comedian, you know. Hey, beat that guy's ass. I'll pay for your lawyer.
With his nicknames and all that, doing crowd work.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, the other fallout from the Mueller report is the House committee that wants to talk to Don McGahn and Stephen Mueller, both of which the White House has blocked from talking to the House.
Aren't they subpoenaed?
They were subpoenaed.
So yes. What do you do? The White House not aware how it thinks shit works?
Yeah. They can block them in so much as, like, they can say, hey, you can't go talk to them, right? And then they get subpoenaed, and then they go to prison if they don't show up, right?
Yeah.
In order to, now the president does have an ace card, but from the way that the Democrats have talked about this in the past, it seems like that ace card isn't really all that powerful, and that's executive privilege. Right.
Like, dude, what subpoena means you have to show up. It doesn't mean you have to talk.
They can just get there and plead the Fifth.
Yeah, you just go up there, Fifth Amendment.
That's the next step. I think you block them from talking in the first place just to drag out the fight. They get subpoenaed. Then you claim executive privilege. Then that gets overruled. Then they get actually in front of the committee. And then essentially at that point, pleading the Fifth, the only way they can do that legally is through executive privilege. And my feeling is that that's where the fight is going to end up on this, is the fight over executive privilege and what it really means, right? This is going to be another part of the power of the presidency that gets tested by Trump.
Another civic lessons, folks.
You think Trump watched Lethal Weapon 2, saw the bad guys going, diplomatic immunity, and thinks that's what he can just claim that and do anything? Like, I'm going to go shoot Mel Gibson half to death. Diplomatic immunity. You can't shoot me, Riggs or Murtaugh. Like, I think that's where, I think Trump gets most of his political ideas. Like, I saw a movie once. And you're like, sir, that's fiction. Okay, but I want Shane Green to be my next speechwriter. Get him here now, you know?
I know. We'll fake a Mars landing. We'll send a man to Mars.
I'd say it's far-fetched, but we've seen his idea of quote-unquote banquets. So...
They're college kids. What else do college kids eat? McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, that. Yes.
He's done it more than once.
Jesus, yes, he has.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought that was just a government shutdown thing, was the fast food.
No, he did it recently after the government's fully been open. It was another college team visited, and he was like, here you go. Here's a bunch of Taco Bell and KFC and Burger King.
I think that wasn't part of when he did it during the government shutdown, it supposedly came from his own wallet.
Yeah, now apparently it's a shtick.
Well, I mean, I guess I can say thank you, Trump, for saving us on the lobster and steak, you know, but...
What did he say at the last one? I know what you people like. We talked about it. Or maybe that was the show we did without you. It was me and Ice. Yeah, it was like some team from North Dakota or something had won something, and they went there. And yeah, it was like, yeah, I know what you people like.
And if it's a North Dakota team and it was a hockey team, I imagine there wasn't a lot of black people, but still, you know, if that was an attempt at a joke,
well, you know it had to be a bunch of white people because it didn't make it. It didn't make it. If there was a black person in the room, that gets national news coverage. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. If he said you people in the presence of a black person, I would have read about that on HuffPo.
The NBA champions show up at the White House. Hey, you people play some good basketball. You know, I listened to Jimmy the Greek once. I know why you're so good at athletics. No, Mr. President Trump.
No!
Shut up. You see Secret Service tackle him.
Like the reggae band in Black Sheep. No!
Kill Whitey.
Anyway.
Well, so who's going to beat Trump then? Because Joe Biden announced that he's ready to fight for the Democratic Party. It's going to be old mono.
No, nobody, because they can't. I don't know. I feel unfair because you have guys that point out it's early, but they can't. The Democrats can't get their own shit figured out. You can't be that. You can't be Palpatine if you can't get your own shit figured out first. You know what I'm saying? Like get your own house and stop fighting with each other. So you can.
Well, it's called a primary.
Yes. Well, that's what. Here's the thing though. That's what does kind of worry me because there are so many.
It's going to be like the Republicans 4 years ago.
There's so many people I've talked to who, you know.
Yeah, they came out with a winner.
I support this guy. I support this guy. I support this guy. But I'll never support this person, this person, and this person. I don't care. I'll put up with another 4 years of Trump. And I'm like, I thought you hated Trump with everything in you. I do. That's not the statement of someone who hates a man with everything in them. I'm just letting you know that right now. I mean, that's what I'm afraid it's going to be a bunch of splintering off bullshit over these, you know, little boutique pet issues that people have. And it's just like, look, you've been saying that this man is essentially the American Hitler for over 2 years now. If you give him another 4 years because you don't agree with where Beto O'Rourke got some of his campaign funds, or that his wife's a millionaire, or that Bernie has a $400,000 lake home, you know, whatever the fuck, then you know what? Fuck you. You get what you deserve. We just have to pay for it. That's my problem. Like, I almost just rather you people just didn't vote. Stay the fuck home. Don't come and gum up the works. But I see a lot of it already. I hope it's just jostling for positions before the primary really heats up. But I'm afraid that there's just, especially with younger people, they are 1, 2, 3 issue voters in a lot of cases. And if you don't, if the front runner doesn't fall in lockstep with them, you know, I hear it constantly, and I agree with them a lot. Like, you know, Obama wasn't a liberal by any sense. He was a moderate who leaned to the right. Look at his record. Yes, I agree with you. But did you want Romney in there with his magic underwear gnomes? Yeah, seriously?
Or God help us, did you want McCain and Palin? You want Palin anywhere near the levers of government?
Here's the deal. To be completely honest with you, if I had a guaranteed death date for McCain and it was after two terms, you know what I'm saying? I could have digested him a little easier. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, dude, you're McCain, bro. No. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just didn't want female Dan Quayle. My vote in 08 was not so much for Obama. It was like, I don't want Sarah Palin anywhere near that White House. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. The primary is supposed to, weed all this out. But the problem is that, at least at this point in the race, people are way too concentrated on the values issues, right? The character issues. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's your quote, man.
They're looking too much at the character of the candidates and not the validity of the arguments that they're making. Because when a party comes out stronger out of a primary, it's when they've figured out what the issues are that are going to attract the right voters. And I don't think that we're doing a very good job of figuring that out. We're doing a decent job of weeding out what things we do and don't like out of a Democratic candidate as far as their character, not so much their message.
There is a perfect person that is never going to satisfy anybody. There's a bunch of boxes that nobody is going to check all of them. It's what you said. It's your quote personified. It's letting perfect be the enemy of, or what is it? Yeah, perfect be the enemy of good.
Yes.
Yeah, there. No one is going to check all. There is no magical person that is going to check every fucking box.
Well, that's why
possible.
That's why it's like I'm worried. I don't know if they're not necessarily millennials. I'm talking like people who are just getting to voting age in 2020. Like I've taken the call on a lot of them. I'm like, you're the Goldilocks generation. Everything has to be perfect. Stop that shit. That's not life. Look, I know you grew up in a school where they said if you didn't bring enough cupcakes for everybody, then no one can have some. But that's not how the real world works, honey. So grow the fuck up. Put your big girl panties on. Put your big boy pants on. And make a fucking decision based on, do you want 4 more years of this idiot? Or would you rather roll the dice and see what you get with a different idiot? Because that's the decision we face every 4 fucking years. Suck it up, Buttercup, because it ain't getting any better. And it's just like, you say that, and there's like, you're just old and jaded. You're a centrist. Okay,
cool.
Whatever. And people really need to learn, when I say, okay, whatever, I'm not conceding your point. I'm not saying you won. I'm saying you're too stupid to have this conversation with. So, yeah, whatever. I'm a centrist. Okay, cool. Nice. Well, you got me labeled, so you figured out everything about my life. Why don't you work on yours now? How about that?
How dare I consider both sides? What is wrong with me?
Because I'll be honest with you, Aaron, you have, since the midterm primaries, or the midterm elections, you have kind of worn me down on an issue. It's like, look, man, there's a time you can vote third party. There's certain situations, locally, it might even be a better idea to vote third party. But it also comes a time when it's like, you really want to risk putting this idiot back in here for another 4 years of this nonsense horse shit to try to prove a point with your vote? And it's like, no, not really. Well, so congratulations, you got me to come around on that.
Idealism is a positive thing when it is a petri dish for ideas, right? Idealism doesn't mean action. Idealism is just wanting things to be a certain way. And that's where ideas start. I mean, if enough people have the same ideals, they get together and put together ideas to put in motion to make the world the way that they want it to be. But that being said, real life is a constant choice of the lesser of two evils. And, well, I say lesser of two evils because that's a common phrase. I don't even know where that came from. It's probably Shakespeare or something. But I don't really believe in evil in the world. It's just what decision is going to cause me the least amount of personal harm or destruction or whatever.
Well, at a certain point, you got to think beyond yourself, too. I mean, look, not every president handles international affairs like a fucking boss. We understand that. Some are better than others. This man has made us a laughingstock in the world. I mean, like, we are a fucking joke. We are a punchline to the world.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, we're still trying to figure out if Russia manipulated us. Meanwhile, I mean, if you just look at our foreign policy with North Korea and China and Russia, the Trump administration doesn't seem to have written any of this. It's just like, the pharmaceutical companies writing their own bills to police themselves. It's whatever Putin wants, whatever Kim Jong-il wants. I mean, they're meeting right now without Trump. I'm sure he's like sitting by the phone like, how come they didn't invite me? But probably because they wanted to take this opportunity to laugh about how far their hand is up the U.S. president's ass.
Absolutely. And for all his tough talk against people who, travel for, a month and a half through South and Central America to get to our border, for all the tough talk for those people that dragged their ass half dead to the border. Oh, he's real tough on them. I mean, he gets in front of these assholes. He's a simp.
Oh, yeah. He rolls over.
Like a pussy ass dog who barks at the mailman until the mailman steps in the house and it rolls over and pisses on itself. Please don't hurt me. Like, you can just look at the body language of the meetings between Putin and Obama and Putin and Trump and see. Putin was like, fuck this Obama guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, is that a good thing? I don't know. But I definitely don't want Putin to be strutting around like, tell him your name. My name is Reek. Really? Right. Come on, dude. Seriously? So, yeah, you have to sometimes consider that. And I mean, that's what worries me, because my main source of news is through NPR, and NPR is very much harping on the three frontrunners are white men for the Democrats. This is a problem. Oh, please, guys, not now. Please, not now.
But Pete Buttigieg said that he guarantees that if he wins the primary, he's going to choose a female running mate.
Okay, good. But it's like, guys, really? Now is not the time for your horrendous nonsense. Stop trying to divide people that need to fucking get behind a common fucking cause. They need to support one cause, which is get this man out of office. Stop the infighting shit.
Whoever wins the primary, they should pick the running mate that is going to be the one who most guarantees them a victory. And if you just automatically have that pool by saying we're not going to consider any men, then what are you doing? Are we picking our best people, or aren't we? Or are we doing fan service?
Yeah. And I mean, I say that to some people and they, oh, whatever, dude, you're just too sensitive about it because you're a white male. Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question. And this is to these people when they say that, I'm like, if you were singled out and told, nope, you're not viable because of your gender and your race, would that irritate you a little bit? Oh, of course. Okay. Do you understand? Like,
their retort will be like, now you know how it feels.
Okay, good. So we want vengeance. But you can't even get this asshole out of office yet. You want vengeance. Okay. How's it feel to be completely impotent, asshole? Because that's what you are. You're so worried about getting your pound of flesh that you can't even get the asshole who's fucking you up the ass with his green fucking or his orange mushroom dick. All right, out of your ass. Congratulations. Because that's what it's going to boil down to. It's just like when I heard,
but it's not like pledging to have a female running mate is anti-men.
No, it's absolutely
just not practical, and it's not a winning strategy.
Here's the thing:
I'm not saying that it's a loser either. I'm saying, like, if that's how if you're picking your running mate based on random things like that, then it's not a good process.
You can't even get your shit together enough to realize you have a common enemy.
Don't we remember that was the attack on the McCain campaign in 2008? The only reason you picked Sarah Palin is because she was a woman. You're trying to appeal to the 35 to 55-year-old housewives or whatever.
Yeah, it was a strategic move.
That, and she could reach the top shelf at the grocery store.
It's the first strategic move. Well, they got a black guy, a woman. We'll get a woman. They should have got Condi. That's how they would have won. But yeah, it was a pure strategic move. I don't know why people thought it was anything but. It's politics.
Because you can't be honest. It's not. It's honesty isn't something that people really want, even though they tell you they do. Because that's offensive to say that. Then the truth's offensive. Do you expect me to change the truth because you're offended? I mean, these are politicians. Everything they do is calculated.
And it's doubly offensive though with Sarah Palin, right? Because there was like, okay, here's the thinking: we want to appeal to women. Like, as Republicans, we are losing women voters. We need to get them back. So how do we do that? Well, we elect a woman, right? Well, not as president. Hold your horses. Vice president, maybe. But then we have the problem of, well, yeah, but this other mainstay demographic of the Republicans, the older white males, don't want to listen to a woman. So how do we fix this? We make it a woman they'd want to fuck.
Exactly. And that was
my dad had the biggest boner for Sarah Palin.
No, absolutely. Don't you remember during a debate, her all that winking at the camera and shit?
Oh yeah.
Like, I was watching that going, bitch, just pull a titty out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather don't try to
push up. I know better. Look, I didn't want to fuck Sarah Palin, but I did want to fuck Tina Fey when she did Sarah Palin.
Well, I want to fuck both. I'm greedy. I want them both.
Six equal opportunity.
I'll even
have a Palin party.
I'll even take the bitch who played Palin in the porno. Who's nailing Palin? Throw her in the mix. You know what I'm saying? but no, I mean, it's like,
sure. I mean, I think that's your best shot. I'm sorry.
my favorite nickname for her was She Bush. I think Jon Stewart gave her that nickname
because it works on a couple levels. Because you know it's a thatch of hair down there, man. You just know it. She pulls
Alaska. It is cold.
She slides them granny panties down. That shit puffs out. You know,
it's cold up there.
Got to keep that beaver warm, I guess. I don't know.
She's staring at Russia from her porch. It's warm.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
The Jaguar I-Pace is setting the pace for electric vehicles. Winner of the 2019 World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year, and World Car Design of the Year. To celebrate this treble win, we're offering €3,000 off all Jaguar models, plus a free 3-year service plan. Set the pace. Book your test drive today at Conlon's Jaguar Nace. Offer available until the 31st of August.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
But here's the problem. I understand, like, okay, to say if I win the primary, I'm going to pick a female running mate. Yeah, that's very thinly veiled pandering. But here's the problem. You're making promises that you can't guarantee you're going to keep. Because what happens if he gets in there and every fucking running mate they try to vet just gets fucking crushed? That's a female in the vetting process. Or worse, he just willy-nilly picks a running mate and then some horrendous bullshit nonsense comes out. And now he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I think worst case scenario is that he gets stuck with Elizabeth Warren. Because there's plenty of females running.
Yeah, but you don't
that if a male wins the primary, they can just be. It's probably going to be one of the other people running. It would. That's what the Republicans would have done. It didn't end up being Trump. I think the rest of the guys running were like, not it.
And you guys don't think the DNC is making a list right now of vice presidential candidates, regardless of who comes out? The winner of the primaries.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Making a list of going, hey, here's who your vice president's going to be for whoever comes out the front runner.
Here's the pool for you to pick from.
Yeah.
Pool. There's 3 people on this list. Yes, it's a small pool, but it's a pool. Pick from it. Well, the other thing is that, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce his name?
Buttigieg? Buttigieg? I don't know. Buttigieg.
We're going to go with Buttigieg for today. Okay. I'm starting to see
Pete.
Petey. Yeah, there you go. Petey. I'm starting to see the first hints that there are people on the right willing to go after him for his sexuality. Because I'm starting to see the memes and people posting this stuff, and they're like, it's not that I think he's a bad man because he's gay, because there's nothing wrong with that, but I believe in the Bible, and the Bible says homosexuality is an abomination against God. And truly, those are people you're never going to turn. So you know what he needs to do? He needs to come out and go, oh, but you support a president who fucked a porn star while his wife was pregnant.
Right.
Has been married and divorced 4 times.
They got to get in the mud. We've talked about that before. They got to get in the mud.
That was Lindsey Graham again this week. Straight shooter, always consistent. Lindsey Graham. He says that, it's not his homosexuality that he has a problem with. It's the fact that he's not repentant, right? Okay, so if you accept that you can't control who you're attracted to, and that homosexuality is just something that one is born into, well, a proper God-fearing homosexual has the common sense to be shameful, and Buttigieg is not being shameful. He's openly celebrating his homosexuality.
Well, so was Dick Cheney's daughter. Where were these people attacking Dick Cheney, saying don't vote for Bush? Because his running mate has a very proud lesbian daughter.
I hear lines like that, and my reaction's like the old Chris Rock line when he talks about women who don't suck dick. It's like, I didn't know they still made you. Like, how do you still think? I don't understand.
Yeah, but Chris, most of these are older people.
Right now is like, what? Wait, you have to be, I'm sorry I'm gay? I can be gay, but I got to be sorry I'm gay? What does that even mean?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and maybe stupidly call my shot and say a lot of these are older people who they don't buy into that homosexuality isn't a choice, or they're people that were raised in very isolated bubble-like religious situations where some of the branches of the family tree might not branch off. You know what I'm saying? Like it gets a little, well, we can't find no one good enough for Lisa Sue, so you're gonna have to marry your second cousin twice removed. Shit.
I came from conservative Catholic family, and it's always been like, hey, there's gay people. Deal with it. Like, that's. I guess to me, there's just still Bible thumping parts of this country I do not understand.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
You've seen a calendar.
Yeah,
do you have an internet connection?
You travel in some of them. You travel in some of the notches of the Bible Belt.
Oh, don't. It's joking with Mandy. All the billboards I see are porn, fireworks, cigarettes, and Jesus. Like repeat, like the same 4 billboards. Anyway,
It sounds like a good time, except for the religious shit.
Yeah, and the Jesus is always interchangeable with like a fetus. You know, every now and then it's reminding you not to kill a baby and porn next exit. But yeah, so Pete Buttigieg has to be sorry for being gay.
I think that he should take absolute zero shit on that, especially if it's going to be people trying to attack his character from a religious point of view with this jackass in the White House who I just don't understand anybody who's a fucking devout evangelical who goes, well, he's my president, so I got to support him, and and he's a sinner, but he asked forgiveness. He's never ever once said the words "I'm sorry" in public and meant it.
And also, too, if you claim you're a Christian, get out the big list. Get out the 10 Commandments. Guarantee you he's broken most of them.
Right.
That's
and
your big
butt
list.
fucking ain't even on it.
Well, I mean, and there's something that Bill Maher brought up, and I meant to bring it up. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, that he feels that when people bring up Biden or when people bring up Bernie, that the last acceptable thing to attack someone for is being old. And I kind of was like, oh, Bill, don't fall into the victim mentality just because you're old now. like seriously, like, dude, like, we get it, but it's a valid concern when you have 80-year-old men, women, whoever, leading the shit, because people tend to expire around those ages.
Well, that was one of my concerns for McCain in 2008. Like, how long does this guy got? If he goes, she's in charge. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. So I'm like, that. It's what's weird is it's off brand for Bill Maher, especially because he's really pushing like the anybody but Trump platform leading into the 2020 election. And it's like, dude, don't hand fucking more bullshit ammo to people to go after people who might be the front runners.
Because if Biden wins and gets elected, he's 81 when he leaves office. Mm-hmm. You got to think, like, does he make it?
I mean, yeah, because the last 2 years of Reagan's terms or his second term, it was a national joke about how fucking senile he was.
The science is keeping us alive longer, but it still starts with a 7, the average life expectancy. So Uncle Joe's getting near the end. Be honest, I'm not the man's doctor, but that's statistically.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't. Age isn't even in the top 10 of things I think about when I'm thinking about a candidate. I mean, it's in there, but it's not like, it's one of the first things I think of. It's not even the first 5, 10. It's just, he is a little bit older. She's a little bit older. That might be a problem. How solid is their running mate?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was a little higher on the list for me with McCain because of his running mate.
Well, this is true. So, yeah, I guess I'm a hypocrite just like everybody else that's a human being. So, by the way, I cannot see Texas from my high horse up here. Just letting you all know. But no, it's like Biden. Seems the slam against Biden is from the right. It's his creepy Uncle Joe thing. They're gonna run with that for as long as they can.
He a sex criminal like 3 weeks ago.
I mean, that was a story that they're trying to push, but it hasn't stuck.
Yeah, I mean, but there's
he was still, before he even announced, he was polling ahead of anybody else that has announced for running for the presidency, and it's continued. So, I mean, I think the people who are going to support a Democratic candidate, those old stories didn't faze them. Like, yeah, we've been sharing the memes for years.
Yeah.
Or between ourselves, fellow Democrats like, creepy Uncle Joe.
One of the best parts of Obama's presidency was the Biden memes.
Yeah. Especially near the end when they ramped up. Because it was like, get them all in because we might not get this chance again.
Oh, for sure.
But then from his I don't want to say detractors, his critics from the Democrats, their main thing seems to be, this is the same Joe Biden who wrote the 3 strikes laws, the super predator laws, and all this. how progressive is he really, And it's like, okay, I get that. Ask the man where he stands on it now. If he answers the same as he answered 30 years ago, okay, then he's an idiot or he's senile. We're not voting for him. I get that. But I guarantee you he's not. The Republicans will say flip-flopped. Everyone else will say evolved his opinion.
Oh, wait, idea. Trump flashcards. They're just like pocket-sized pictures of Trump. Whenever anybody says something stupid like that, you just pull out a picture of Trump. Here you go.
Imagine what he would say.
Focus on your goal, because I have opinions about who I think I would like to see president, who I think the most effective candidates would be. But when it comes right down to where my vote is going, it's anybody that actually believes in the Constitution, because the current president doesn't. So anybody who actually believes in the Constitution, actually believes in the American system, actually believes in democracy, that's a plus. That's what we need right now.
That person goes, hey, but what about the 3 strikes? You just pull out a picture of Trump. This. Remember this? This is happening. This is what happens if you finish that sentence. This keeps happening.
Yeah, because there's no shortage of dummies after Trump's out of office to run for fucking president for either party. And God knows what we could end up with if this becomes, I hate to say it because it's just such an annoying term, but if this becomes the new normal, to where we look at our politicians like Trump and go, that's perfectly fine. That's acceptable. Like this should be a hiccup in the American electoral system. This should not be something that he held up as like, let's strive to keep this going.
I think that the right trying to smear Joe Biden again as creepy Uncle Joe is probably going to work in Joe Biden's favor. I mean, now he's fire tested, right? I mean, what else can they throw at him? Even if they dig up somebody who seems like they have some sort of reasonable sexual assault story, nobody's going to believe it. That's just. We've all seen him. He's a little handsy. We know. We've seen the photos. Moving on.
Yeah, as long as he didn't go full Jackson, we'll probably be all right.
Right.
Take 45 minutes sniffing her hair? Is that what you're saying?
Well, even then, that's what they tried to.
Slumber parties with the 9-year-olds.
But that's what they tried to do with Hillary, and no Democrats really bought into, and no moderates, I don't think either, bought into the Pizzagate thing. That was just a story that was shared among radical Republicans.
Yeah, that was foreign. That was the Chan's fucking steak and potatoes for that.
The only reason that story had legs is because of how ridiculous it was.
Well, and the motherfucker showed up with an AK-47 in a pizza place saying, let me in the basement. And they're like, it's a pizza place. We don't have basements, asshole. What's wrong with you?
Hopefully that was a water
laughed at him
for wackos. And they went, oh, wait, whoops. Maybe we should dial it back.
Well, and then
they said, "Oh, look, we're so effective, we can actually mobilize people."
Yeah, unfortunately, anybody, if they get a group of 10 people to get together, they consider that a victory. They're like the guy,
and then one crazy guy with the gun.
Yeah, but there was 9 people cheering him on, so online, right. So that's a victory. Yeah. Go do it, dude. If I didn't have a wife and children and lawn furniture, I'd do it. You go do it. But and then. Because the last I heard, the 3 front runners are in this order, at least. I don't know. The order really doesn't matter. 3 front runners. The last I heard, being like a day or two ago, it went Biden, Sanders, and Petey. So the one we haven't touched on is Sanders. And
over Beto.
What's with all the B's? You got Beto, Bernie, Buttigieg, Biden.
I think O'Rourke was like a very close number 4, or like a 3-1, 3-2, or 3A, 3B situation.
Boy, it's been rising fast. Honestly, the thing
I got what you're laying down. Come sniff my hair, Uncle Joe. I'll give you some back.
And honestly, outside of his comment on pledging to have a female running mate, I think he's a solid candidate. I like a lot of what he has to say. I think he's a very practical person.
I haven't really heard him talk all that much, except for the Bill Maher interview he did a while ago.
Well, if it's practical, enjoy him while he's here, because we've proven we don't like practical.
So, I mean, obviously, we're still a year and a half away. I'm going to hear more from everybody before this is done and over with. So,
yeah.
Even if you don't want to hear this shit, you're going to hear this shit, folks. It's just the way the world works.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium, or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs, and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium, or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs, and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
But the one thing I was going to say, now Sanders, it seems like the attack on Sanders as of right now is taking something he said, twisting it around, basically trying to gaslight the entire nation with it and go, look, this is who you want president, which is Sanders supports after you get out of prison, you serve your time, you get your voting rights back, even if you are a felon.
Yeah.
And somehow it's been twisted into communist Bernie Sanders wants to let murderers and child molesters vote while in prison.
Right.
And,
but the while in prison is a nice added flourish. Like the rest of it, I can see where you can at least take that information and spin it in a certain way. But to just go full on into the lie of people can vote while in prison, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's out there.
Roll like Diebold machines in there. Right. I mean, it's a prison. You can't get people to turn in all their silverware after a meal. You think you're going to get 3,000 prisoners to stand in line politely to wait to vote? Get the fuck out! That's just so far-fetched and such bullshit. Anyone who believes that,
it's never happened, and it's not going to happen, and nobody's asking for it to happen.
Exactly.
Makes me smile, nod, and shake my head if there's someone in the room who said that to me. Just smile, nod, and just my internal dialogue is just going, wow.
Like, do you ever just wake up, look in the mirror, and go, wow, I am fucking nuts?
Yeah. Right. Part of your brain just like shuts off the lights, like, oh, I thought we were going to have a real conversation here, but I'll just close up shop for the night.
Usually the wow is followed
I don't need to devote all my brain power to this person.
And usually the wow is followed by like, oh my God, they probably have kids. They probably have a few kids.
Oh, you know they do. Oh, you know they do. And they're instilling them with that good homeschool values. Are not vaccinated, nothing. Just fucking, yeah. Hey, why are you here? Because God made me in 6 days. Yeah, okay. Did Jesus ride a dinosaur? That's what mom and dad say. Okay, all right, wonderful. and you can vote and procreate without a license. Oh, God. But, yeah, that's, I mean, look, now, if they want to have the discussion rationally about whether felons should get their right to vote back or not, that's one discussion. But for them, I mean, obviously these are the meme makers, the meme sharers, the people who are there to stir the pot that are taking this road and trying to say, Sanders said currently incarcerated felons should have the right to vote. And like, it's just such a ridiculous idea. Just stop. If you want to have the discussion about whether felons should get their right to vote back, fine, we can have that. But I refuse to have a discussion about something that's never going to fucking happen.
Well, that recently happened in Florida. You know, they reinstated the voting rights of ex-felons in Florida. And then now this week, the House has passed a bill trying to basically put a poll tax on these people, saying that they have to pay a fine if they want to get their voting rights back.
I kind of view that as part of the penalty, part of the punishment. I mean, like, I'm breaking it down kind of like a base level here, but like you lose your driver's license, right? Some states, even after you've lost it for a while, you have to pay to get it reinstated, correct?
Why would you view that as part of the punishment, though, if it wasn't laid out as part of their punishment? When they were, when they were in court in front of a judge, and they said, "Do you understand the charges against you, and do you understand the punishment that you could possibly face up to X amount of years in jail, that you could be fined up to X amount of dollars, that you would lose certain rights?"
Well, because before the punishment is you just don't get them back at all. Now you have the option of pay some money, you can get them back. It's better than the alternative, which before was like you don't get them back.
And we solved that problem, and now we're going backwards by trying to add an additional punishment.
And it's better than the other alternative. You guys were talking about in the pre-show chat of the ridiculous going again to the quote unquote committee. What was it? 3 dudes who meet like 4 times a year.
John Oliver did this. I think it was 4. Yeah. 3 times a year.
It's better than that ridiculous alternative too. It's
you know what scares me the most is that this is the starting point of the discussion. Well, you pay a fine and get your rights back, and eventually, I think is what it's going to end up being is you have to hire a private paid lawyer to go in and get your rights back. So, in other words, you're still paying, but it's not to the state,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But somebody's going to get their pockets greased. Because that's just America. If you're miserable, we'll find a way to make a profit off it.
It's a way of keeping a poor ex-felon out of the system and keeping them from expressing their rights, while the rich would be completely unaffected. I mean, the same way that, I'm for increased punishment for drunk driving. I'm very against the concept of drunk driving. But the idea that if you're rich enough, you can just pay 10, 20, 30 grand to a lawyer and they'll take care of everything. And maybe you'll do a little community service versus the guy who can't pay that and ends up going to jail. That's not a fair system. And neither is it a fair system to say, well, if you can afford to pay the state or pay a lawyer to argue for your case, then you can have your rights back. I mean,
no,
look, there's certain things that certainly there's actions, there's consequences, and people lose their rights because of them. But we have a system set up for that. We have that laid out to try and cut people out of that system after the fact and take their rights away or put a restrictive barrier to them expressing their rights, or to just plain old have a poll tax. That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. You cannot charge people to vote.
But that's not how they're going to frame it, and you know that. It's going to be framed as an additional fine as part of your punishment.
Yeah, I understand how they're going to frame it, but it doesn't change what it is.
Sticking feathers up your ass does not make you a chicken.
It's better than the alternative, which before was you don't get them back. Or you go to this ridiculous committee. And
here's the...
okay, why are we... What's the point? It's better than the alternative.
Hold on, no. Why is these are only options? Why isn't it you served your time, you're done with parole or probation, you paid restitution if you were court ordered to do so, you can have your rights back. Why is that not on the table for something to talk about? Why do we have to have this, no, it's either you pay the state a fine to get your rights back, or you got to pay to have a lawyer to get your rights back, or something like that. You have to pay somehow. Why is just you did your time? They used to, you guys know how I feel about prisoners and prisoners' rights. So this one of them subjects just irritates the fuck out of me, because the hard truth is, most people are going to say, well, if you killed someone, you should never have your some rights restored. Okay, fine. If that's the hardline stance you want to take, at least I can see where you're coming from. All right, I don't agree with it necessarily, but I can see where you're coming from. But are you well informed about what most people in prison for murder are there for? They're not Jeffrey Dahmer. They're not Ted Bundy. It is a one-time thing, something they did in the heat of the moment. They're never
not Omar.
Yes, this is the people who go back to prison constantly are people who are doing a life sentence on the 3 to 5 year prison installment. You do 25 years for a murder you committed when you were 18 in the heat of a moment in a bar fight. Most likely you're going to walk the fucking line when you get out. Those guys very rarely come back compared to other criminals. I'm talking it is a double digits difference in how many times they go back to prison. Because they were like, I fucked my entire life up over 5 seconds of getting into a fight, and in the process of getting into the fight, saying to the guy, I'm going to fucking kill you, and then I did. So now I'm sitting here on a murder one rap, and I got a murder beef, and I got 25 to life to do, and I'm 18. You think they get a second chance they're going to go out there and start acting a fool? For the most part, they don't. Now, if you want to talk about people who are like Jeffrey Dahmer, people who are like Ted Bundy, people who are unabashedly just sores on society's cock.
Right, the psychopaths. I mean, hopefully the system works. We keep those people in jail and they can't express their rights anyway, right?
I mean, or
we put them to death.
And that's where, when it comes to death penalty, it's like someone.
And then they can only vote in Chicago.
I want to vote for Mayor Daley. Wait a minute. What is this? The zombie election? What the fuck? But no, seriously, people like Dahmer, people like Bundy were like, yeah, I did the shit, and are remorseless about it. Strap them in, because there's no rehabilitating that. You can never let that person out in society again.
We have these labels
against your habitual violent offenders. Like you've just proven you can't play by society's rules. Like you've tried, you keep failing.
If your crime can consist of multiple murders, fucking the corpses that of the people you killed, and then eating part of them, yeah, I'm sorry, you probably should never see the light of day again, at the very least. Except for yard time.
But we're talking about extreme rarities. This isn't affecting anything.
Sub 1% of people.
While the subject that we're talking about is millions of people who get these labels put on them of murderer or violent felon, or just ex-felon has its own connotations. And, it's very rare, very rarely that cut and dry. And I'm not arguing that necessarily for getting all your rights back after you've served your time, but I'm if you want to have a system that starts putting those people in categories and deciding who does and doesn't get their rights back, that's going to be a system that's as complex as our current legal system, because there's a lot of nuance in that. It's not violent crime, he doesn't get his rights back. What are you classifying as a violent crime?
Well, there's also
a guy that got in a bar fight and it went too far and he punched the guy and the guy knocked his head against the corner of the bar and now he's dead and he's serving 3 or 5 years for manslaughter. Is that the guy who you want to keep from voting in the future?
Well, I mean, there's also the fact that we're in a societal change when it comes to at least marijuana drug laws. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, there's a documentary on Netflix that if you're interested in it, it's called The Grass is Greener. It's by Fab Five Freddy did it from the old Yo MTV Raps situation. Days.
Today, for my nap, I was listening to that.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes.
One of the things they point out in there is that while 13 states have, is it 13 or 10 have recreational, 36 have medicinal laws. Even the ones with medicinal laws still have draconian, punishments for tiny amounts. We're talking half a gram. A guy got a 14-year sentence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was people who had less than an ounce who were facing life in prison in Louisiana. Meanwhile, you know, here in Michigan, if you get caught driving around with an ounce in your center console, it's a ticket. You know, so they can prove you're high while you're operating your vehicle, and then that's a completely different crime. It's not possession. It's OUI. So, I mean, that has to factor in too. You know, I mean, it has
to factor in. You know, we were talking about this on the Weedsman, and we spent a lot of time celebrating all the change that's happened over the course of like the last 5 years that we've been doing the Weedsman show. We were just talking about this recently because we had our kind of a little bit of a retrospective episode, but it really needs to be addressed. I don't address it every episode because I don't want every episode to be about criminal reform.
Like, calm down, kid.
But it needs to be in the conversation. Anytime that you're looking at passing laws to make cannabis legal in any state, in any area in the U.S., you have to look at the consequences that the people have already suffered at the hands of the previous prohibition. And it's kind of ridiculous that, I mean, there's plenty, we're talking about it more. Kamala Harris was one that came out not only in support of cannabis reform and cannabis legalization, but continuously talks about it hand in hand with criminal justice reform and getting people's records expunged for nonviolent crimes of cannabis possession, stuff like that.
And I mean, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be brought up, and hopefully, after Trump's out, I don't care what letters by their name. Hopefully we can get a president there who goes, can we stop locking people up for fucking smoking a naturally occurring plant?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Like, we got bigger shit. When it comes to drugs, we got bigger shit to worry about. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, weed, according to the federal government, is Schedule 1, while cocaine is Schedule 2, saying that weed has no medicinal properties, but cocaine, it might.
Oh, we've
really?
read the schedule on one of the Weedsmen. It is ridiculous. The things that are on Schedule 1, the things that are on Schedule 2 and 3. It is.
Well, it's also, the more that we learn about all these different types of drugs, it's impossible to say that any drug doesn't have medicinal properties. I mean, certainly, powdered cocaine doesn't seem to have any, but that doesn't mean that there's no properties of that drug that can't have benefits.
Yeah, it makes getting pussy a lot easier.
There's a story on Adam show recently where they're using ketamine to treat something. Like
ketamine, they're using ketamine to treat depression. They're using psychedelic mushrooms and LSD in low doses to treat PTSD.
Same thing with MDMA, which is what it started
as. MDMA, yeah. You can't just say that. To say that, well, people did something with this chemical and had whatever, like a negative reaction, a positive reaction, but just because nothing medicinal seemed to come of it, well, yeah, a party happened, and it was like, no, you got to nix that. Because, I mean, when you put it on Schedule 1, it makes it almost impossible to legally research even.
Like, they have pot with heroin. That is ridiculous to me.
Well, heroin's derived from opium, which has medicinal and has had medicinal properties for centuries.
Yeah, but
right, and recreational ones.
They got pot hanging out with things that are part of the opioid problem, I guess is the correlation I'm trying to make.
Basically, everything is Schedule 1.
I mean, pot is as bad as oxy.
Basically, everything everything that's listed as Schedule 1, it doesn't take a truckload to kill you. You couldn't smoke enough weed to die. You'd pass out.
Yeah, by the time it
is the only non-lethal drug at Schedule 1. That to me is like, if you're trying to present, to break it down, like, okay, these are the most dangerous. They're very easy to overdose on, whatever. then weed's got to be down. I mean, like at the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
like Twinkies are more fucking harmful than weed. You give a diabetic a Twinkie, his foot will fall off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
weed better come below ibuprofen.
Yeah, you take a whole bottle of ibuprofen, you may have had a headache, but that'll be the last fucking headache you ever have. You know, that's just all there is to it. So, I mean, that to me is where the nonsense comes from. And I mean, there's no need to go into it because if you're a fan of weed and you listen to the other podcasts on this network, you'll know that we all are to an extent, some more than others. And we're all very aware of why marijuana is in the situation it's in.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot to do with racial issues, the systemic racism that was in this country when the drug war was implemented by Nixon. I mean, full scale implemented by Nixon. He declared it. It had already been happening, but he actually, now it's a drug war, you know.
Right. So, but I mean, going back even further, like, 1900s, who's smoking weed? Like, nobody even really smoked weed. They grew it for fucking rope and shit like that. And then here come these Mexicans smoking it. And you're like, what the fuck?
And then they handed it to the jazz musicians and they were like, yeah.
Exactly.
And then the white people
bring the culture into the country. They share it with the blacks. And now you've got, well, look, if this is going to be a black and Mexican thing, then if we want to control their behavior, this is a really easy way to do that.
Not only that, but when
make the drug that they like illegal.
It's when, little Johnny sneaks off to the speakeasy to hear Bird tear up a sax solo, comes back high as fucking giraffe nuts, and his parents get scared because not only is he hanging out with them darkies, but oh my God, he's smoking marijuana? Oh, no, we got to make this illegal. Can't have that. Can't have our children doing that. Get the fuck out of here. So it's better he comes back drunk, parks in the front yard. Really? It's better he does that? But wow, that was deeper I didn't mean to take.
Smoking the marijuana makes you think that, hey, these blacks and Mexicans aren't that bad.
And apparently,
and they got good shit.
And apparently, and the music's a lot better. But and apparently, it makes you think you could play the piano real fast, according to Reefer Madness. I never understood that one, like how they got all manic. I'm like, I don't care if that's the most sativa of sativa strains ever. I've never seen anyone that manic on weed. Like seriously, unless they've just really fucked themselves up.
Guy was smoking that Sherm.
I didn't know you like to get wet.
Well, I tell you.
At DBS, you can study in Dublin city centre or online. Choose from over 100 industry-led programs. Programs designed to fit your life now and help you create your future. Realise your ambitions. Apply for a full or part-time course today at dbs.ie.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
I got high as fuck before going to see Endgame, and I was still. It didn't abate my nervousness for this film at all.
So is this the point, ladies and gentlemen?
I think this will be the point. And actually, Chris, we can just sign off if you want. Because we're just going to talk about a movie you haven't seen. We can wrap up the rest of the show if you want. We don't have to spoil anything for you either.
I said your chime. Yeah, I'm going to go see this movie.
Hey?
No,
you didn't see Infinity War?
No, I think the last Avengers movie I saw was the first one, like 10 years ago. The one where Soundgarden rolled in the credits. That's the last Avengers movie I saw.
Well, yeah, it's difficult to be. Well, they've kept so much of this movie under wraps. It's difficult to talk about it at all without talking about spoilers. So, yeah, this is your out, listeners. If you haven't seen it yet, stop now. You can come back to this point in the show after you've seen it. But,
or if you just don't care because you're one of those people.
Or if you don't care.
It's a superhero movie. Let me guess. The good guys win. Some of them might die.
Right.
You know? I mean, if that's the way you feel, you're pretty much not going to be disappointed by our review. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert starts now. Holy fuck. I have to say, I'm rather blown away by this movie. And it's going to take another viewing, I think, to properly evaluate it if we want to talk about this as, if the actual things that what does and doesn't make a good movie. Like, this movie is such a thing of itself and of the prior 21, 22 films.
Yeah.
That it's almost impossible to judge just on its own as whether it's a good movie or not.
No, this was definitely felt like putting the cap on 10 years. Well, now 11.
Yeah.
Because Iron Man and Hulk come out in 2008.
Well, it did. Did you get all the way to the final? And there was no end credit scene. But did you watch all the way to the end of the credits?
I get the feeling that I missed something.
Okay. There wasn't. It was kind of subtle, but at the very end, the Marvel logo comes up again, and it's not even that loud, but you hear metal banging rhythmically. Clank, clank, clank. And that's the opening sound of Iron Man.
Ah, okay. So
to bring it full circle.
Bookends it. That's yes. One review I read said this is a fanboy's moonwalk through the previous 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, visiting the highlights.
Yeah, no, which is great because it's like it's a fucking time caper movie.
Yeah, and they did something that I'm glad they did. One is, we already said spoiler, major spoiler. You at least think they kill Thanos right in the beginning. I mean, yeah. But if you're a comic book guy, you're like, he ain't really dead. Come on now, you know.
It's like Law and Order when they arrest someone in like the first 15 minutes. You're like, this is not the guy. There's 45 minutes left.
But then they fast forward 5 years after the finger snap.
Yeah.
And they committed to it. It wasn't just like a trope to go, okay, here's everyone 5 years later. Like, it showed how different characters either had moved on or were incapable of moving on. And it really set it up because, you know, Tony Stark had pretty much come out on the best out of all the Avengers after those 5 years, wouldn't you say, with his family and the life he was leading?
I think he was the only one who really actively tried to move on from that.
Well, it just felt like Hawkeye lost everything. Stark gained everything that Hawkeye lost. That's how I felt they were trying to like subtext the two things. like.
You know, I knew this movie was going to be rough. I mean, just from the movie's actually like really funny. The movie has a lot of fun parts in it. Are just devastating to me. Like that opening scene just with Hawkeye when he's training his daughter how to fight, right? And me being a big fan of the comics and always looking for like, what new characters are they going to introduce? The fact that he has a teenage daughter at this point who he's teaching to shoot a bow and arrow is like, yes, let's get the female Hawkeye going. And then he actually calls her Hawkeye. He's like, oh, good shot, Hawkeye, when she gets the bullseye. I was already crying. He called her Hawkeye, and I was like, oh my God, it's just like Kate Bishop. And and then they fucking disappear. And I was like, I don't I don't know if I can make it through this movie. This is like ridiculous. But it does, they kind of plow through like, we're going to get our revenge. We'll go find Thanos. We find Thanos. It turns out he destroyed the Infinity Gauntlet and all the gems. And so we just killed him. And then it does the time jump. And
which I kind of like the idea of Thanos was like, I did what I set out to do. I'm retired. Kind of like, there's nothing else. There was no other great evil scheme behind this one. I set out to do what I meant to do. So do what you got to do. Do what you feel, basically. And Thor did. So.
Right. And he refers to his destiny, right? Like in Infinity War, Thanos, you understood his motive, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of thought put into it either. And this movie almost solidifies Thanos' motives because he actually does get that chance now in his past through time travel to see his destiny. He saw that, he was already looking for the Infinity Stones, and then he gets to see through some sort of weird, unexplainable link between the two nebulas that were in the universe at the same time, what the future nebula saw, and even his own death. So that kind of, in a backwards way, like sets him up for what he believes to be his destiny now, right? He's already seen it come true. He knows this is his destiny. It makes him even more resolute in his decisions.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was interesting. Like all the big Thanos stuff, the development of the character all happened in Infinity War. He was certainly the big bad of this too, and I like the way that they used him. But the character was already developed. I mean, there was nothing. It had to be Thanos. Yes, that was the villain of this movie, but only so that they could finish it. There was no development for Thanos. There's no more growth as a character. That was just the fact that them actually meddling with the past actually, stuff like this.
Well, I did like
because
that Smart Hulk brought up something that I've always thought about when these time travel things. Like, well, if we go back and we change it, things will change up here. And he's like, "How do you know that?" He goes, and they're like Bill and Ted, Back to the Future. Every time travel movie ever. And he's like, what you're not understanding is when you go back in time, the future you left is now in the past. Like, when he broke it down like that, I was like, I've never really heard anyone say that in one of these situations. And I was like, I can appreciate. I mean, it was just a small moment, but it's like, I appreciate that.
You already done fucked it up.
Yeah. It's like no matter what happens, it's still your past.
Yeah.
And it was just a nice little touch that I like. Sometimes it gets so, once you get into like Star Trek time travel and shit, especially once they started doing it like all the time. Well, you just slingshot around the sun. You go back to 1984 and you find a whale. That's what happens. It's like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, so.
Well, but this is something that in the comics, Marvel does constantly. They love playing with time travel, and they constantly do it in ways that are just ridiculous. Where, like, in a recent run of the X-Men, Beast brought the original 5 X-Men to the present time just to show Cyclops what a dick he had become.
And I'm just picturing Iceman going, wait a minute, I don't have to stay in the closet? I'm never leaving. Yes. I love the taste of dick. It's yummy.
So, they go through this whole convoluted story of like trying to undo that. And I would, knowing Marvel's history in the comics with time travel and how hinky that can get, I was kind of nervous knowing that there was going to be an element of that. I didn't know it was going to be a full-on time caper like it turned out to be. But we kind of knew that time travel would play a major part of this. And I was like, I want a solid resolution to this, not some like magic hand wavy thing, and then we undid it. And they kind of do both, but they managed to. I was listening to. I wish I could remember the guy's name. There was a writer that was on a podcast. The podcast that mostly the they talk to comic book artists, comic book writers. But in this case, because of the Endgame coming out today, they did kind of a look back on all the Marvel movies. And the writer was talking about, some of his favorite moments and also, the biggest plot holes that happen. He's like, plot holes only really happen when there's not enough character development to hold the story together. When people are really invested in the characters, you don't notice plot holes. Or if you do, it doesn't really matter. If the plot hole takes you completely out of the story and that's all you can think about, well, then the movie makers didn't do their job in making you invested in the characters. And there's, if you really wanted to pick it apart, there's plenty of things to pick apart in Endgame. But the character voices are so true and so individual, and you are so invested in these people that it doesn't really matter. The whole circumstance of who's going to die to get the Soul Stone was kind of ridiculous. And what does that even mean, really, anyways? Because the fucking, whatever they're calling Red Skull now, told him the same shit that he told Thanos. You have to give up something you love. Well, fucking Barton and Black Widow don't love each other. I mean, they have love for each other as friends, but is that giving up the thing that you love the most because one of the two of you dies? How does that equate to? But it doesn't matter. Because, what the real story here is that both these people want to make the brave decision, right? They're fighting over who gets to make the sacrifice. Well, and it makes sense for those characters to do that.
Me being me, I was like, wait a minute. So they're both trying to rush to the edge to kill themselves to sacrifice something they love. So that just means they're just raging narcissists.
Right. That's a good take on it. Like, I love myself that I should be the one to die.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just,
hey, Rich, you get a no prize. Your no prize is in the mail.
God, I haven't thought of that in 30 years. Jesus. But yeah.
Speaking of one of the best Stan Lee cameos on the last, is him tearing down the highway, yelling at the military base. What is it? Make love, not war.
Well, I mean, before we get too deep further into the actual, talking about the plot, I got to say, Thor was, as a buddy of mine from across the pond would say, a crashing bore to me when the MCU started. And now he's turned into like one of my favorite characters. I don't know what happened with the director who directed Ragnarok, but it's like he took him aside and said, dude, you're the god of thunder. Be a little... come strut your shit, get cocky, be an asshole, and do it in a funny way. You're allowed to be funny.
Maybe just have man crush on Chris Hemsworth.
Not really, because I can't name you one other thing he's in. Like, he doesn't have a brother who looks just like him. I always get those two confused. So maybe that's it.
3 Hemsworths, I think.
Jesus Christ, they're building an army of them fucks.
One of his brothers is Mr. Miley Cyrus.
Okay, that's probably
No, I'm with you. Like between Ragnarok and Infinity War and Endgame, that's my Thor.
And I mean, the fact that they
first two movies, the first one's good, and they get a little bit of that. The second one is just like, oh my god! Like, I'm surprised like Thor didn't fucking put eyeliner on. Like,
yeah, him and emo Superman from 2006 could hang out,
Right.
And just sit and look pensive through a window at a woman that they long for, but they can never be with, and it's just like, get the fuck out of here. Yep. You're the god of thunder, dude. Stop. But no, and I liked how they went. I mean, full in. He's a bloated alcoholic.
And they went, yeah.
I mean, and what was the line like?
They straight up put him in a fat suit.
It was like, they were like, so, he's like, what courses through my veins? And they're like,
Cheese Whiz?
Cheese Whiz?
He said, lightning courses through my veins. I think it was Rhodey. He says, I thought it was Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz, yeah.
It's either Rhodey or Rocket. Can't remember.
But yeah, I definitely liked the continuation of his character. From the last, like you said, from the last 3 movies, going into this one.
Well, part of this, what this movie had to do was, let's say goodbye to your core Avengers team, right? So while everyone is in this movie, even, Rocket had his fun and everything, but he doesn't get any real growth. He doesn't really get a story. Rocket's an accessory. I'm trying to think of who else. Even Rhodey and Falcon and
Rocket Singh.
Ant-Man is like essential to the plot, but he doesn't really get a story either, because that's not what this story is about, right? They did a good job of separating that and saying, look, we need to give Captain America his story, Iron Man his story, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, and the Hulk.
Well,
and,
I will say that
they did all that, those 6 characters.
I will say this: they fucked up one way.
How's that?
Before this movie ever come out, whoever said that there's a Black Widow movie coming out should have not said anything until after this movie premiered. Because like we said, we've already talked about she's quote unquote dead, which means if they keep her dead, and I'm using air quotes because that works on podcasts, it's going to have to be a prequel.
Almost assuredly.
Or somehow they go to the netherworld, fight death, and bring her back, or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're not going to bring her back. They're going to do a prequel. I guarantee it.
Like, I just felt like you could have saved that till after to announce that, because that was kind of like, this death doesn't mean anything. It's like all the deaths at the end of Infinity War. It's like, we know they're coming back. Black Panther signed on for another 2 movies. He ain't dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, Marvel ain't going to kill that cash cow. They're going to milk that motherfucker for every last drop.
But, yeah, Gamora stays dead. She doesn't get brought back.
Yeah.
Black Widow's dead. Iron Man's dead. Captain America's old as fuck. Hulk's a gimp. And Thor's fat and roaming around space.
With the Guardians of the Galaxy. So
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
If he's in the next Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm almost afraid the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise is going to take a turn towards like straight up nothing but humor. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, which would be great, but it's like, don't get too jokey. Disney put the right people. I don't know who's in charge of the overall vision for the Marvel's, MCU, but they picked a person who was like, look, every director, I want you to put your personality in the movie. I want you, realize your vision, but there's an overarching story you have to fucking play by the rules to. You can't just come up in here and blow shit up just to be subversive. It does not work. So we need you to hit these plot points. What you do in between these plot points is up to you. But here's a list of people who are safe, and here's a list of people you can kill off. And no, you're not killing Thor off, or no, you're not killing, Iron Man off. Shit like that. And it worked. And I hope when they move into, I know it's not phase 2 because they're at phase 4 or whatever now. When they move into the second incarnation of it, the next 10 years or 11, whatever, I hope they do the same again. I really do. Now, after seeing the final battle in this film, good Lord. What could top it besides a Secret Wars movie where every bad guy that is alive in the MCU is put on a planet by the Beyonder to fight every good guy who Disney now has rights to, which is all of them. Like, there's no way I could ever picture Disney pulling this off again on this scale. Like, it'll never go back to the Civil War scale of 8 people running at each other on a fucking on tarmac. But, this was some Peter Jackson going to win me an Academy Award, Return to the King type shit. I mean, this was, and obviously a lot of it was CGI. I'm not shocking anyone by saying that. These aren't practical effects when you get on that scale. But still, I mean, copy I had wasn't that great as far as lighting. But I was like, okay. Usually the fight scenes are the least entertaining things in Marvel movies to me. I don't know why. I just rather see the characters interact with each other than, like the Civil War fight between Captain America and Iron Man, because it was one-on-one. I was like, okay, that was cool. But once you start getting like whole groups fighting whole groups, it's almost like we were talking about with my buddy with the Transformers movies. you're just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on after a certain point. You know, I mean, it's not that bad because we can actually tell the characters apart in the Marvel movies. But
I think that both Infinity War and Endgame, for as long as these films are, I think they're excellently structured. And you know, I'm with you. The big battle scenes are usually the most boring part for me, but they didn't just rest on the shock and awe of the visual effects.
No.
They emotionally, in both movies, they fully and emotionally build you up to those battle scenes, and it keeps you engaged.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched a Marvel movie and enjoyed it as much as this. Like it's been a couple movies. Like I pretty much have gotten to the point with the Marvel movies up until Infinity War. I was watching them out of, I know we're going to talk about them eventually, so I might as well watch them so I'm not talking out my ass. Like, well, in the preview, you know,
right?
You know, that's all. If that's all I'm bringing to the conversation, that's no good, you know. So, but this one, it was like I kind of dutifully sat down to watch it, and then I watched it, and I was like, I really enjoyed that, like more than I thought. Right. So that's all I can ask from this type of movie. And I mean, I know the term event movie gets thrown around a lot these days. This is a fucking event movie.
Yeah.
This is the culmination of people that are like 16, 17, 18, their childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like coming to, it's the end of the beginning. And then, the next phase will take over.
Yeah, I wanted to reach over and slap him. I was talking to one of the younger guys that I work with today. And a few of us were talking about, because we're all going to go see Endgame this weekend. And he was like, man, I got to go see this. Like, I was like 8 years old when Iron Man came out. And I was like, get the fuck out of this office right now. You better not make more than me. Let me see your stuff.
You're going to key his car on the way out. Fuck you.
I mean, what a feat. I think it was a perfect way to wrap up the Avengers, basically, that first version of the Avengers. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on where they go now? Because Captain America passed off the shield to the Falcon.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I think we actually called that a month or so ago. We were talking about it. Like, what would be the situation?
I thought it was I knew it was gonna be passed off. I thought it was gonna be more Bucky than
and I thought Falcon. It was gonna be the Falcon. Yeah.
But once he did though, like during that scene, and Bucky kind of is standing back, giving a nod, like, yeah, do it. I'm like, yeah, this kind of makes more sense. I kind of wanted it to happen because I wanted to see the fulfillment of what I saw in the comics. I think that would be really cool. But for this version of Bucky, where he's at right now, I mean, they pulled him out of Wakanda chopping wood, slapped his arm back on just to fight Thanos. Like, he's not ready to be Captain America. Falcon has been preparing for and deserves that. Thor kind of had the handoff with Valkyrie, right? It's not really a handoff for Natalie, but I don't know if like Hawkeye is going to stick around and maybe like still be involved, or if he's just going to full on retire. Like if he's going to kind of fill that void of the Black Widow character, or if that's just not a void that's going to be filled, or maybe they'll just fucking bring her back to life. Who knows?
I have to say, I still haven't seen Captain Marvel, so this is my first time.
So you didn't miss much. Like, as far as, I thought the movie was good, but if you're wondering if there was something that helps tie these movies together, no.
I was just, it's the first time I'd actually seen, what's her name? Brie Larson? Is that the actress's name? Yeah. Her actually play the role in anything but a trailer. And I was like, all right, she's not more stoic than I thought, but I mean, she is, we covered this already, but she's a fucking jet fighter pilot. I'm pretty sure those people aren't they're probably more like her in real life than Will Smith in Independence Day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not like, oh, gotta get me one of these. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Earth, motherfucker. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I think her and Thor, it was in the previews, but I liked it when he called, was a Stormbringer over and went right past her and she didn't flinch. She's like, I like this one. I was like, all right, that's kind of and she gave a little bit of a smile. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Overall, I was just like, I felt like for as much hype as her solo movie was going to had, I thought she was going to play a bigger role. I was kind of disappointed that she didn't, especially after the 5-year jump. She disappears for an hour of the movie almost?
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, there's more planets than yours that need help. Okay, I get that. You're the space police, but this motherfucker just wiped out half a civilization with a snap of his fingers. I want to pay a little attention to him too. But
that's after they kill him, right? And then she's gone for them making the whole plan to go back in time and undo everything. So
yeah. I mean,
honestly, my question wasn't so much why wasn't she around, as how did she know to come back and just start fucking shit up?
Because she's got the let me speak to the manager haircut near the end of the movie. So she spoke to the manager and said, "Oh, the Avengers are fighting Thanos now." And she was like, "I guess I better get back to Earth."
Also,
that haircut, I'm like, wow. Is that a middle-aged housewife's like midlife crisis haircut? It works on Comic Girl 19, but she's Comic Girl 19. Okay, it doesn't work on her. I mean, it worked for you. Some more power to you, but I was like, it's a little weird. All right, but manager's over there, ma'am. Go bother him. But the one thing I did like, and I hope that they do cover more of this, is the whole the meeting when Captain Marvel and Rocket and the holographic meeting, getting together and working that into a new storyline, I think would be real interesting, because I was like, wow, I never really thought of it like that. We're getting to the point where we got so many fucking heroes, they can't just all conveniently meet up every other year in a movie. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some that are going to, have to play roles that aren't as big, or maybe they're a B story or whatever that ultimately feeds into the A story. But
yeah, I feel like we'll continue to have an Avengers team and probably Avengers movies, but the next big thing is probably going to be Alpha Flight, and not the Canadian version that we've seen in the past, but the more modern Marvel version, which is Captain Marvel and the Space Police, basically.
Wow, yeah, that's completely. I'm only aware of the first 5-year run of Alpha Flight, when John Byrne created it. That is, her leading Alpha Flight, that's completely left field. I wouldn't have expected that until you just said it. So
she has some of the original Alpha Flight members involved, but they're in a base up in space, and they're basically Earth protectors. They're Earth's first defense.
Well, I mean, I guess also, you say Alpha Flight, I can see it happening, especially because your ear is a lot closer to the ground on these type of movies than mine is. I guess my question is, how long does Disney ignore the cash cow that is the X-Men?
That is a whole nother conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
Until they can do it right.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. They have to wait for this last X-Men movie to come out, which, as far as every preview I've seen, just release the motherfucker on demand and DVD and call it a day. I have no interest to go see this in the theater whatsoever. I'm just it's another mangling of the fucking Dark Phoenix saga. I'm not into it. Sorry.
So far, the previews that I saw up until today, I thought this looks like a piece of shit. I knew that there was another final trailer that they had put out, and I didn't watch it. So I was like, look, it's an X-Men film. I'm going to go see it anyway. At least let me have a little bit of surprise to it. But then it was, of course, previewed before Endgame. So I couldn't exactly I guess I could have closed my eyes and plugged my ears through the whole thing. But
it'd have been like, Ma, this autistic gentleman's having a fit next to me.
Right.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, this nerd. The preview, the long form preview that I saw, the most recent full trailer for it, sells the movie for me and does so really well. The previous sneak previews and 1 minute trailers, those were garbage, honestly. Now, maybe the only reason they managed to do that is because they showed me all the good parts in the trailer like they did for Hellboy. But, well, I guess we'll see.
Well, I just imagine it has to be during this next. I mean, I don't know what Marvel or what Disney's trying to do with Marvel as far as do they want to set it up where this runs in 10-year cycles. So the new actors come in, you're like, look, you know how many movies you're going to have to commit to and how many years of your life you're going to have to commit to this. Don't sign that unless you mean it. I mean, that makes sense from a business point of view. So if it is a 10-year cycle, I'd say, hey, at least in this next cycle, they got to introduce some element of the X-Men.
Yeah, I kind of hope that they just have the X-Men in their own universe.
No more RD.
I don't know if it's going to work out in a while to introduce them to the Marvel universe. I think you develop a whole separate universe of these mutants, and if that works out, then you can have your big event movie be Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah, that's true. And if they run wild with all the X-Men characters they could put on that team over that span of 10 years, that could be the movie that does have a huge fight scene at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody. How many here's the problem. How many motherfuckers were on both teams at certain points?
Right.
But I mean, like, looking at the list of Avengers, because I got bored and I was like, let me see how many Avengers are in comic book land. There actually have been. It's just scroll. And I'm just like, I haven't even gotten to West Coast Avengers yet. Jesus fucking Christ, so.
Well, before we wrap up, I did want to share a couple of, because I saw this movie in a packed theater, and the audience reaction to some of the things that happened in this movie was pretty intense. When Captain America picked up Mjolnir, the audience went fucking nuts. They ate that shit up. Captain America swinging around Thor's hammer. That was like the best shit ever. They at that scene when the portals start opening up and all the Avengers that had turned to dust start pouring out and they're back. This is their big comeback scene. Everybody got a little bit of applause. Black Panther got some good applause. By the way, I saw this in Westland. I should clarify for those who don't live in this area. I saw this in a theater full of black people.
Okay, I was going to ask, did you see this with black people or white people? Because
I did.
It's immediately, I'm thinking, like, if the whole theater's reacted, you saw with a bunch of black people.
Listen, that's a stereotype, but there were people sitting down in their seats 20 minutes into the actual movie, and I'm like, I know. All you motherfuckers bought your tickets before me, which means you, within the first week that this was announced, you bought your tickets, and you couldn't show up on time for it. But anyway.
See, I thought, just to be real quick, I just thought it could have went either way because I've been to Star Wars, like the midnight premiere, and it was all white. It was they see me rolling, they hating, white and nerdy. But I mean, it was like
they'll clap and they'll cheer.
Oh no, these motherfuckers were being told to sit down because they were getting up trying to have lightsaber fights while the credits beginning was, scroll was going. People were in full costume, hollering and hooting, especially, unfortunately, episode 1. And then about 20 minutes into it, we were like, this sucks. But no, I'm serious. So I'm like, it could have went any way. And I saw it in Westland also when I did see those movies. So I was like, I could go either way.
Yeah. But, so as far as, like, everybody, all the Avengers that were coming back from the Thanos finger snap, all got a little bit of applause. Black Panther got some applause. Fucking Spider-Man shows up, and everybody went nuts again. I mean, for something like we all knew, right? everyone came back. They're not just gonna like not bring Spider-Man back too, but him showing up on screen, man, people love that version of Spider-Man, and it's all Tom Holland. Honestly, people love Tom Holland, and I can see why. And when Iron Man died, when Tony Stark died, that whole fucking theater was bawling.
Really?
Oh my God. People were breaking down in tears. It was actually, I should say, probably about half the theater was crying and the other half was laughing, but trying not to do so very loudly. Like they were laughing at the fact that everyone in the theater was crying, but they weren't like, "Wah, he's dead. You guys are all idiots." They're like, "Oh my God, like this is really affecting people."
RDJ is crying. His wallet's going to miss this paycheck. Sure, he's got a couple of summer houses thanks to this franchise.
Yeah, but they've had to re-up his contract during this stretch, so I'm sure he's getting some sort of back end from some of this shit. He's going to be making money till he's dead off of this shit, man. Has to. Come on. I mean, I think that's probably the reason that he was killed off from the original Avengers, because it was like, yeah, he's what?
These are my two dogs, Iron and Man.
But no, it's just like, I think that's probably why he was killed off, because it's like, if we leave the door open for him to come back, he could fucking, I want this. It's like, he's ran his course. His story's told.
Guy's going to want the first weekend's tape. We keep signing this guy.
But I mean, I also thought that was kind of the point of them establishing it. It seemed like he had moved on successfully. He was happy with his life. They did a lot more than imply it when he was like, if we bring him back, we change nothing about right now.
Right.
Like, that was him saying, I'm not losing what I have now. It's not happening. And ultimately, he has to be the one to die to defeat Thanos and set things back right. It's just kind of poetic, Yeah,
well, he goes even further. He says to Captain America, bringing all these people back is important, but not at the cost of losing what we have now.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the quote exactly, but that's so, it made sense that he died like he did.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was obviously a copy that someone had, taken at a movie theater that I'd watched. And when when Thanos snapped his fingers, nothing happened. And he just goes, I'm Iron Man. And he snapped his fingers. Like, there was more than a few, like, I could hear some muffled cheers in the crowd. Yeah. So it's like, I didn't hear any crying. I did hear some sniffling. So I'm like, either someone needs to take a fucking, like, allergy pill before they record this shit, or get it away from their nose. Because I just heard near the end of the movie, and I'm like, dude, shut up. You're breathing like Tony Soprano. What the fuck is wrong with you?
The reason I'm crying is because the adrenaline.
I'm so happy. But so there was and then obviously it cut off there. I didn't even see the credits. So
there's no post-credit scene at all.
Okay.
Just that hammering.
Gotcha. I mean, I know it's hard to kind of rate a movie in a franchise like this right after you see it, but I mean, where do you put it with the other 2 Marvel movies?
Man, it's up there. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like how I don't even know how to rank it against, other Marvel movies, much less other movies. It's like,
no,
like
I
said,
where is it in the MCU? Where is it?
No, I hear you. And I'm trying to answer the question, but I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I really don't know.
That's an answer.
Like,
that's a thing.
Yeah.
No. I mean, if you were like, I
really
don't care about this question, I'd be offended. But you're like, I don't know, because you're giving it thought. Yeah. I'm with you.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, because it was a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and for as rough as some of it was to watch and get through, it didn't feel like a wah Debbie Downer.
Dirge. Yeah,
it was more like there's some hope here. I mean, come on, Thor with the Guardians of the Galaxy in the next movie.
Yeah,
just the back and forth between Thor and Drax. I'm buying a ticket just for that. So, I mean, this is all there is to it. And then, yeah, I do want to see more Captain Marvel. I'd rather see Captain Marvel in space than Captain Marvel on Earth doing what we've watched for.
I think that's probably what we'll have. Yeah.
So I think that would make it a lot more interesting to see new, civilizations and shit from the Marvel universe. But that's just the fanboy in me talking.
Yeah, get a little Star Trek in there.
Yeah, why the fuck not? But all right, well, we want to wrap this up.
Yes.
Yeah. Got to. So this is part. Remind everybody, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, ChristopherMedia.net, as well as Spreaker.com. They like what we're doing here. They want to help us get some more listeners, and we want to thank them for that. So if you found us because of them, welcome. You like it, tell a friend. If you're a regular listener, thanks for hanging out. New shows every Saturday. We are at Unregimented Pod on Twitter. You can email us unregimented@ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Later, guys.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
The Jaguar I-Pace is setting the pace for electric vehicles. Winner of the 2019 World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year. To celebrate this treble win, we're offering €3,000 off all Jaguar models, plus a free 3-year service plan. Set the pace. Book your test drive today at Conlon's Jaguar Nace. Offer available until the 31st of August.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
If your friends haven't told you, McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets are back. The ones made with spicy tempura and aged cayenne. But before you go telling friends, make sure you get them first. Order ahead on the McDonald's app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's.
When we made our new McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were screaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's.